All right. The internet says I'm live, or at least YouTube does, so I'm gonna start doing stuff. All right. So today we are going to be adding in some of our stream inventory into Woodpecker CI, and then we are going to improve the health or the black box dashboard and a couple of the black box checks. I know I said last night I wouldn't last time I said I wouldn't use regexes on stream. Um, I decided why not. So what's happened in the last little bit with ShiftMon? Um, First thing, we signed up for Buy Me a Coffee. So if you do want to donate to Shift Systems so we can keep making cool open source stuff for you, links right there. You can just kind of throw money at it right now. We do plan on adding like a special chat, and I kind of want to play with the commissions feature. It's kind of like Bounty Source, where like if this feature happens, or if this money gets thrown at a feature, I'll start caring about it, or I'll start working on it. Caring is not the right word. I'll start working on it. So for things like SQL Server, Kubernetes, that kind of stuff, I might put some bounties out there because I think it'll need to get added eventually. It's just if you want it done before I get around to it, money's a helpful motivator. Um, let's go through a couple of commits. Oh yeah, and there is stream alerts. So if you go to the Buy Me a Coffee link, which I'm going to put in stream, um, go to this link and send stuff. Um, you'll show up in stream alerts. So I'm drinking the cheap store brand Mio. It is sadly not Tang, but it tastes close enough to it. Um, I'm super nostalgic about Tang because my grandma, who I didn't get to see a ton as like a little kid, always had it in her house. She had Tang and really good store bought cookies. Her cookies, like, she would always make them a week before, and they'd be kind of, they'd still like be sugary and sweet, but they wouldn't be fresh. All right, so we need to go to commits. Me trying to goof up adding the coffee link. The missus fixed some typos, and then we're back at stream where we were working on user secrets. I got distracted this week playing with Authentic, which is a super cool app, and I might make a separate video reviewing it. It's a self-hosted SSO tool, so that way, if you're not using um, if you're not using like Google or Microsoft for your directory service, you'll be able to use Authentic, and that way you can still self-host it, but get all the benefits like having a SAML and OIDC provider. Also, we have been making a big effort. We have a Discord server now, and that is bridged over to our Matrix room. Every room but the memes room is bridged between the two. And the reason for that is I can't get T2bot to bridge to it. So that's kind of poopy. But otherwise, we should be good. Um, so let's get down to business to deploy the automation. I mean, defeat the Huns. So this is how I deploy ShiftMon internally is I use Woodpecker CI. Woodpecker was a rage fork from Drome when they went to having it was either completely open source or open core model to a non-open source, um, whatchamacallit, to a non-open source license, and Woodpecker forked, and it's amazing. And the Discord is for Shift Systems and ShiftMon and all the. There's a few other Ansible and backup related things we do. All that should be on our socials in a little bit. And the memes are pretty dank. Shout out to Micah for for posting some really dank programming memes. He was also making fun of the Midwest breakfast a little bit, which I was slightly insulted by, which I thought was lame because breakfast pizza is delicious and a way of life for me. And if getting food out of a gas station bothers you, then I'm sorry you don't live in the Midwest. So, Woodpecker CI, it's if you're not super familiar with what CI and CD is, it's continuous integration and continuous deployment. So when I make a commit in an infrastructure as code repo, it deploys to my infrastructure auto-magically. And unlike tools like AWX and Semaphore, perfectly fine tools, this will also do some security scanning and shaming you for not using best practices. So I deployed the code from a local instance of Gitty. I've heard it said both ways. So I have this Ansible job repo. They ran my gerbs. And then here's the ShiftMon folder, which essentially is just fetching secrets. And then the one we're actually interested in is Telegraph. Telegraph, it just only has a couple secrets to get, but it relies on this inventory. So gas station food where I'm at actually isn't last resort. It's super funny because the gas station down the street from me has like some of the best tendies in town. And we have like Cane's and Popeyes and other places with like good chicken. And then it's like Casey's and Quickstar in the Midwest actually have insanely good warm food. So somebody in the memes Discord was like, "Wait a second, this is actually like a thing." And yeah, breakfast pizza and soda for $4 is totally a thing for breakfast. I used to have that like every day right after I got out of college. I didn't like care about my nutrition too. Especially now, so fast food service and kind of the food isn't as good as it used to be. So now, like where I'm at, there's three different places, or yeah, there's the gas station down the street, and then two chains that are pretty much in every small town in Iowa, um, that I can go to and get as good of food, if not slightly better than fast food, and I don't have to wait forever in the drive-through. And this is just a personal thing. I like energy drinks over soda, so I could like go get an energy drink with my tendies. So gas station food's actually super awesome here. So this is the inventory that Ansible is going to consume. And we are going to, instead of deploying it from my laptop, we're going to deploy it from a CI pipeline. The reasons why you would want to do this from a CI pipeline is there's a paper trail. So if I actually go back to Woodpecker, I can see who did what when. So if I ran automation that broke something, there would be an audit trail of the event started here when this automation ran, rather than so and so did something on their laptop and verifying and proving that is a little bit trickier. I actually don't know if Woodpecker shows that I launched it or not. Uh, um, so now I need to update the inventory to have all my black box URLs. So I'm going to double check there's no secrets really quick. CD shift RMM. Nvim. All right, I do not think so. All of the secrets are environment variables. So essentially what we want to do is take from here all the way down to here, and then dump that out into the inventory here. So I'm going to copy, and then I believe this was on Ervin. One, two, three. So now that's all in there, but it's probably not tabbed over correctly. Oh, so the skinny behind this stream is I just like streaming some of the development for ShiftMon. It's a great question. So basically, I shoot the breeze with chat and work on some of the ShiftMon stuff. Recently, we've been doing black box monitoring, and black box monitoring is observing the system from outside of the system instead of inside of the system, so it appears like a black box. So instead of looking for things like the CPU on the system or having access to be able to like trace each call in the application, it's making an HTTP request to a URL, paying a DNS lookup, those types of things. Also, I appreciate you understanding the hostname scheme. If you look through all of them, they're Attack on Titan characters. Okay, so I think this is all tabbed over correctly now. And we'll find out. So we're gonna make a commit here. In a like production and professional setting, you are not going to be committing to master. You'll be making a new branch and then asking somebody to review it and committing it. But for now, for Cowboy committing. Armin's actually the Grafana server. I need to put chat up. I'll have that figured out for next stream. All right, so now if we go to Woodpecker, I didn't interact with it at all. And now we have this job running. It's running a tool called Kix, short for Keep Infrastructure Secure. I think I reviewed this last stream, but there's some new people. So it'll go through, clone the repo, make sure I'm not putting secrets in it, and then have Ansible link code shade me one more time because it already did it in my editor. But it's nice to have that done before I try to push it to something like Ansible Galaxy, which won't work if there's certain lint things wrong with it. So like you could run the playbook, but it won't successfully package up correctly for whatever reason. And after hitting the rate limit for filled publishes to Ansible Galaxy, I decided to stop doing that. So now we are going to deploy the telegraph role. So if I specify this environment variable, it will specify which job in the repo runs. And the way that's configured, cloning all the dependencies takes like 3 minutes, so I have time to explain this. That's all configured in the .woodpecker folder, or it's like .woodpecker CI YAML. Similar to most other CI systems, you shove some YAML inside of the repo, and it will tell it what to do. So we are in the telegraph config. So what this is saying is, hey, clone this thing. Oh, cool. So what's happening here is we're grabbing the plugin, we're skipping SSL verification because this was using a self-signed cert at some point, and then it's running the telegraph role. And it runs them in numerical order. So the scan repo runs on certain events. Where is it? Yep. So when new code is pushed to the repo is the only time this will run, because I don't want to wait a minute or two while this runs. Oh, yeah, sorry. I can zoom it in. Thanks for asking. So after we scan code on push, we have to have this welcome in here. I'm not sure if it's a bug or just Woodpecker CI is kind of goofy like that. It it requires you have a job that will run no matter what. So if you have jobs that'll only run conditionally, it'll just crap out whenever you start a pipeline. So the after stuff with the 0 runs, the stuff starting with 10 will run, and then all of the stuff with 10 is pretty much the same. It's just picking a role and then running an Ansible playbook. So Drone and Woodpecker CI can use a lot of the same containers to run, and you could specify the image you need to run. You can run an arbitrary container, but the plugins make certain things easier. Um, you tell it what secrets it needs to access, and then you say which playbook you're running. So the telegraph.yaml playbook with the inventory specified there and the dependencies here. This is something that's really cool because AWX back in the day, before it had the pretty Patternfly UI, used to only run the Ansible inside of the Docker container. So if you had like Python dependencies or in my case Galaxy dependencies you needed, you're kind of SOL. But now AWX has it, Ansible Semaphore has it. You can't. I don't believe you can specify it, but if you just put a requirements.yaml somewhere in your repo, it'll pick it up. And then Woodpecker and Drone, you can specify it here. This will only run when the role telegraph is specified, mostly for execution time. I forget if it's configurable, but I prefer to make sure it's always the latest version. But essentially, this takes a couple minutes because it's reaching out to Ansible Galaxy and grabbing all the dependencies. I'm not sure why it takes so long. One thing might be, they might be on the Docker dashboard. It might be that the host is using, no, it's not. Even check like the last, yeah. It just takes a minute to pull stuff from Ansible Galaxy. Yeah, everywhere in the US has like their own interesting cultures too. I was actually thinking about that a little bit earlier, how different you can get in the same country in the US. It's pretty wild. Cuz I know like gas stations in the South are super sketchy, like you should be afraid to use the restroom, and I'm saying there's like gourmet food in pretty much every single one of them where I live. And even like the food's significantly different too. Um, because cookout down south is amazing. I was visiting family in Charlotte earlier this year. It was delicious. Like everywhere was delicious, amazing food. I will say barbecue in North Carolina was overrated though. I think Midwest barbecue gets underrated strictly. um, Midwest barbecue is underrated, and I think one of the main reasons why it's good is we just have so many more attempts at it. Because in Iowa, there's more pigs than people, so somebody's gonna figure out how to do it right eventually. I need to try Texas though. Texas barbecues sounds, from everything I've heard, it's super amazing. Now we're actually running Ansible playbooks, and hopefully we shouldn't see any changes here. Oh, we have an updated Telegraph config. So something super cool. I guess G's new, so we can run through what this is doing. So ShiftMon is supposed to be an open source observability on ramp because setting up monitoring, logging, and I'll eventually get around to implementing tracing is a giant pain in the butt. Like this is the architecture that it implements for you, and it does it all through Ansible roles. So instead of having to shop around for a good metrics storage system, good log storage system, Installing Grafana is super easy, but installing it so it's performant is kind of difficult. And there's a bunch of things you need to change. It doesn't have SSO configurable through a GUI, so it tries to automate all that for you with Ansible, and then turn a blank Linux VM into something that can gather metrics for a bunch of common Linux services. There's some Windows stuff I need to work on, but I don't like Windows, so I'm gonna need somebody to yell at me to do that. But it implements all of this stack for you. It even comes with Grafana On Call, which is like a self-hostable PagerDuty. And all you have to do is populate a YAML file, point it at a Linux box, and say go. So it avoids the work of shopping around for like finding time series databases, finding a log storage system, finding a visualization system, finding an agent, and then actually instrumenting everything. So after you shop around for all of those things and make sure that they'll play nice together, you actually have to instrument the applications, which sucks. And then you have to make dashboards, which it looks really cool when you're done, but I've like it seems like I've put holes in my desk bashing my head so hard against it trying to get certain queries to work. It also comes with the Telegraph automation. Telegraph is the collector that we use to ship data. It will try to get intelligent and actually detect which services you're instrumenting. So instead of just saying like, all right, here's the Telegraph repo and Telegraph's installed, good luck, have fun, it will have a default config that removes some of the metrics that are probably too verbose for most use cases. Um, it will add the basic configurations, and then it'll look like, hey, is ZFS on the server? If so, I need to make sure to add the ZFS config. If not, don't worry about it. It'll also look for certain inventory variables to see if it should scrape for HA proxy metrics or vSphere. Um, it'll also do smart monitoring so you can get yelled at when your hard drives are broken. Oh, you need to yell at me for saying that barbecue in the Carolinas is overrated. It tastes slightly worse than barbecue in Iowa. And the thing we're working on now is black box monitoring. So black box monitoring would be observing the system from the outside of it instead of being inside of it and having access to things like traces and metrics for the host. The reason why you would need that is to check things like how fast can a client in this location respond to it. And before we were using a tool called Uptime Kuma to do it, which Uptime Kuma is super cool and I'm still running it, but there are certain use cases. Uptime Kuma is like a home lab scale tool. It can't check for multiple locations, doesn't have like access control, SSO, those kind of enterprisey things. And so I'm implementing a methodology to do that with just Telegraph configs. So you set up a YAML file, point it at a bunch of hosts, and you're good to go. Oh, Gabi died. I swear that's not Attack on Titan spoilers. I decommed the server. I had a jank, Nextcloud server that I migrated away from. Not because Nextcloud is jank, but because I decided I really wanted to run it on CentOS and Caddy instead of use one of the 4 containers I have. So everything should be good. And to confirm, we're going to go to the black box dashboard. And everything's looking healthy. Oh, yeah. So G in the chat is pointing out that there's is it Gother? Yeah, Gother. So Gother is the kids' DNS server. I liked that one I like that one a ton because like memory holing things and having a DNS black hole for stuff kind of seemed fitting. And the wife's network was named Seven Deadly Sins, and I kept Gother as a name when I moved in. So the kids have their own ad guard separate from ours because the kids should not be able to see Pornhub, which I'm monitoring for right here. As you can see, kids' DNS server can't look up the hub, which is good. Um, but like, I'm over 18. I can look at whatever I want on the internet, but I don't want to look at ads and malware. So along with checking if it's up or down, we can look at response time. And if we had multiple hosts, as you can see here, there's this little check that should fall off soon. Um, looking for mini flex. Nice. G in the chat uses bleach names for their network. I used to think it was super funny. Yeah, until the kids learn how to use a VPN, then I'm SOL. Or if they use Firefox, I don't believe I have it blocking DOE. So there's a new protocol called DNS over HTTPS, which individual applications can implement to do DNS lookups over HTTP, which sucks. Because if you're a network admin who's using DNS filtering as a methodology, you have to block DOH servers, which can be really awkward because there's a bunch of perfectly legitimate, like, Quad 9, Cloudflare. I don't know if Google runs one. Run DOE servers. And I think Firefox will nudge or change your defaults under circumstances to use it. So that's why we also use a device management tool called Custodio on the kids' devices. It's basically parental spyware, so we can make sure that the kids are asking for approval for new apps. I've wanted to spend a bunch of time basically using the built-in controls of the operating system and a tool called FleetDM to do it, but there are some things that would be insanely hard to implement, like reading messages and stuff like that. So I could get like 90% of the functionality reasonably well, like have them run over a VPN that routes through here and filters DNS using the DNS server they have at home, using Fleet to monitor which applications they're using and which packages are on their system. But it's that part wouldn't be too bad. It would be like reading messages and some of the other stuff. The built-in Google controls are actually pretty solid. The Google controls children have to request an app, and then it's up to the parent to approve or deny. And I believe you can do, there's some automation associated with it, so you can't just be like, anything rated E is fine. We like to verify what they're doing, so if we need to talk about something or be like, it's a good training opportunity. So we can be like, hey, this game needs access to your microphone, your camera, and where you are. Do you understand why that's bad? And if not, we can go into it and explain it and teach them to look for permissions. So the first few months kind of sucked, but the kids figured out like what is and isn't okay pretty quickly. Because the issue with just allowing your kids to like install anything rated E, app devs can lie, um, and they could ask for permissions that they definitely don't need. The other thing is too is there could be like uh, things that you're okay with as a parent as your kids get older that would give it like a T rating. So there might be some violence involved in it, or like there might be a couple of edgy jokes or something like that, and you could just be like, eh, you've seen worse on TV. Yeah. What we want to do now that we have this done in CI, so I don't have to remember to do it on my laptop when I update checks, is I want to work on add health totals to the dashboard. So right now I can see each individual check, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to scroll through like all 30 of them. It'll actually, there we go. It'll actually catch the scroll shortcut. So I have to go like no red, no red, no red, no red, no red. Whereas Uptime Kuma, it just says everything's alive. And so I don't have to look. So I want to add the, do I have to look up here and then look at all the terrible stuff happening down here? I did that earlier, but I was an idiot and did it on the provisioned dashboard and not like a dev dashboard. So the Grafana provisioning API by default does not make dashboards writable that it provisioned. So that way you don't have like an automated system like the ShiftMon Ansible role fighting against user changes. It will force a user to fork. So if I like delete this panel and then and then click save, it'll be like, hey buddy, it's provisioned. Copy the JSON, put it in a new dashboard. So before the stream, I copied the dashboard off here. And we can work on a dev dashboard over yonder. So if we go to dev, then we go into settings. Also, I appreciate all the interaction and questions tonight. Thanks. And don't forget to like, subscribe, join our socials, all that good stuff. We go in here, paste, paste. I think I just need to change this guy here. And then black box hyphen dev. Oh, I cannot copy paste. She jinxed it and said I was killing it, and then I had a copy paste error. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I think I caught, yeah. I'm keeping the same UID so the URL doesn't change. All right, I'm just gonna make a new one and delete this old one. Dashboard, settings, JSON. Actually, this is not the right way to do this. Import, plop some JSON, U5, load it. It's gonna get mad that there's the same dashboard name, so I'll change that, and then it'll be happy. So this is what I was talking about earlier. Show me the total checks, show me what's unhealthy, and then I can scroll through and go, oh, kids can't get to the hub. I can go back to bed. So the one thing I want to add is I have to scroll down and see which one's the unhealthy one, which sucks because there's 4, soon to be 5 different types of checks. Excuse me. There's 4, soon to be 5 different types of checks. And especially in a larger enterprise, you could have a bunch of different checks from a bunch of different probes. So it's going to make sense to just see, hey, I need to see that this is the check that's down right away. So I need to edit this guy. need to. I'm actually gonna have to like kind of steal these 4 queries. Is unhealthy checks. So everything here is showing it. Errors get clamped to 1 and it has a minimum value of 0. So if it's a 1, it's bad. If it's a 1, it's bad. If it's 0, it's good. So here I need to put equals 1. And we get nothing because nothing's really gone bad in the last little while. But if we zoom out, we can see that everything had outages over the last little while. So now, I forget what happens if there's a check name that's bad. We'll find out together. So now we need to make this a table. And we need to tell the table to, I need this to be instant. And I need this to be formatted as a table, and we'll get no data, which is the correct response in this case. So we're going to add in a second query, which is just going to be copied from the DNS query. We're essentially trying to get all the sources where there could be a bad query and then bubble those up to the user. It sucks that this will run the same query a couple of times. But, it'll be fine. So you can see right here, it'll show us the domain, the host, and then show nothing here. Clone that a couple more times. I'm going to grab everything and just to make sure it doesn't screw up at like domain 3 or 4. So we'll get our ping up time. This guy. Edit. Last one is net response. Should probably get the expiring certs too, which that one's actually not hard because I need to just copy paste everything and instead of show all the certificates, just show the ones that are about to expire. And there's not a bot actually. Peeling back the kimono for a second, my wife's over there in the office answering everybody's questions in chat. It's super helpful to have her like show links for resources for things that I'm talking about or answer some questions so I can somewhat focus more on the stream. So thank you. It's my not beer mug. So now we have all the nasty quotes or all the nasty sources of data here, but the problem is they're all disaggregated or they're showing as 4 different tables, and that sucks. It's 2 a.m. I want to see if I can go back to bed, so I need to make sure that it's in one panel. I think we can do merger series to row. I forget which one. Yay. The only downside is I need to find I'm going to create a couple of jank checks here in a second. So URL, host, check name, those all should come through. And then we're going to do organize fields. So we actually don't care about the value because it's getting clamped to 1. So we can get rid of that. Time is important. Domain, host, record type, and server all matter. The thing that's going to suck is it's going to DNS, HTTP, DNS, or all the different types of checks are going to look different. So I might end up using 4 different panels instead of shoving them all in one. But we'll see what it looks like. So, I don't know where I want to do this at. Oh, if you scroll up in chat, the link to Discord should be there. I'm not giving out my social security or EIN. Sorry, G. Okay. So now we need to pick. I guess we can pick. Yeah, we can pick on Armin. Ah, not the ASCII art. There. Okay. A little bit bigger. So we're going to SSH into Armin. And we are going to. Actually, wait. This is dumb. Let's use the stream inventory. So now we can get rid of pretty much all but one of these checks. In here. Get rid of all but one of these in here. Yeah. And then we can make this something that doesn't have LDAP on it. Dot doesn't have LDAP. I think this is, yeah, this will turn up bad. This doesn't, one of these is gonna not have a check name. And then we are going to put null. Null. And then we're gonna deploy this config over to Armin unless somebody has a different Attack on Titan character they want. Now if we do shift-m, this should create a bunch of files. No, Anthony. Nothing in here does any like active credential gathering or stuff like that. We were talking earlier about kicks, which is a way to scan a Git repo for security credentials. Oh, Sasha's the hungry chick. So, Sasha, Potato Girl. Gosh, second stream in a row, potatoes come up. So Potato Girl Sasha, but Sasha's my Jellyfin server, and it's a container on a different host. So can't use Sasha. Sorry about that. So now if we go over to Armin, we should have NVim, Etsy, Telegraph. And now we have these checks right here. Yeah. I forget the exact context, but I said telemetry tater last stream. So there's definitely going to be a supporter tier for telemetry taters. Let's make sure telegraph's healthy. Perfect. So we have some bad hosts now, which is good. And now this should start populating in here. So refresh this in the next like couple minutes. We should see some unhealthy checks. But while we wait for that, let's get everything spread out here. Did this not pull up check name? Gosh, DNS is so much stuff that I need to track. It's kind of dumb. Okay. Yeah. So our merge isn't working, which kind of sucks. But I'm glad we looked into this. Delete, add. It's merge or join, which join's gonna suck if I have to do. Merge, on call the hub, yay. So now we can organize fields. So we'll see as the other checks come in why this is going to look like not good things soon. Um, Host check name should be the same, and if it gets ugly over here in sparse, it gets ugly over here in sparse maybe. So check name should be first. Host I'm not sure about. I think what's down's probably more important. Time's important, check's important. Host is important, and then the DNS data is superfluous. Like knowing that a lookup failed on this server is fine to me. If you think that's wrong in chat, please let me know. I'm pretty sure there's some security contras folks in chat, so I do want to mention that one thing that this doesn't do well yet that I want it to do is function as a SIM. Let's save and do a hard refresh. Because in my mind, and please tell me if I'm wrong, because I haven't had like people who are full-time security professionals hear this opinion and tell me I'm stupid. Um, it seems like a SIM is just observability, but it's more focused on security engineers. So they're looking at metrics, logs, and traces to figure out what happened during an incident. It's just the lens at which they're looking at things is different. They're looking at like a data breach more so than like a service being down. So I would like to eventually see ShiftMon kind of grow a SIM, essentially. All right, this is no bueno. There's an unhealthy check. It's not showing up here. But I would definitely like to see ShiftMon gain more SIM-like functionality. All right, what's going on? It's not showing data. So let's mute all of you. Ping hasn't shown up yet, but yeah. Yeah, data breach might not be the right thing, but they're looking more at like security threats and attacks in general, but they're still looking at some sort of disruption of service. So having the other nice thing too is like sysadmins and SREs usually get brought onto security calls. So if you have like an SRE team using one tool and then the security team using a different tool, not only does that suck from the sysadmin side because they have to deploy two agents and make sure they're functioning, there's communication that's going to be an issue. Because an SRE might be super familiar, like navigating around Grafana and using Prometheus metrics, but a security engineer is going to have way more experience with like KQL and the Elastic Stack. And getting those two people to use the same tool together, work off of the same data set would be super cool. And the other thing too is that there is some overlap for things like syslog and access logs that both SRE and sysadmin type folk and security type folk would want in the same solution. So the data's already there, the ability to query it's there. It's just adding that lens to it that a security, that like a SOC analyst could look at it and an SRE could look at it. But then they're looking at the same thing. Okay, so C and D seem to be the issue, right? Yep. You have a dead issue. You have a dead issue. Um. Oh, what the heck? B's okay. C just has time. So I'm gonna pop this query out and explore and see what's up. It's saying no data. Oh. I know what's going on here. Can hear my comp sci professor once again yelling at me. I told you not to copy paste things. So this query's not happy. This query's not having a good time because it doesn't have a check name or a URL in it. Heck. Just look at everything. Ping result code. Oh, it is URL. What the heck? Ping data is weird. Oh, clamps there. Sorry. And now I think I have, yeah, one too many parentheses. Okay, so only get guaranteed host and URL. Then how do I put clamp back on it? And why isn't this failing? Ping not get put in? Or is the ping working and that's the problem? Oh, I goofed up. 1.1.1.1 is a perfectly valid URL. Null local shift systems net. System CTL restart telegraph. Okay, so that was one reason why, is that ping actually worked. So that's why it might not have been showing data. So net response. So sudo, and we want to look for net response. This should not be responding on port 389. Heck. There better not be an LDAP server on my freaking AdGuard box. So let's pop this guy in to explore. Okay. So ping's returning invalid data now. Oh. God, copy paste errors again. Shut up, Dr. Professor Thompson. Or Dr. Mr. Thompson. I say Dr. Mister because one of my engineering professors and one of my comp sci professors were married. And so not only were they like married and working on the same campus, but they were both in the STEM building and it was a super small school. So like everybody in my engineering program had courses from both professors at the same time. Let's go back. Judge my poor copy pasting. Then edit. We don't want that. Uptime, god awfulness. I said something earlier about bashing my head again, or bashing my head through my desk about trying to get a query to work. You would think it would be super easy to query a black box monitoring probe for like, hey, what's the uptime on this thing? This right here is the answer to that question. Yuck. I also looked into a couple of other tools. It's just as ugly. It sucks. There's been a few of those where it's like, oh, this should be super simple. It should be really easy to alert on if there's no metrics here. In vanilla Prometheus, it isn't. Victoria Metrics has a lag operator that makes it tolerable. So edit, go to here, go to here. Why did I copy the DNS one? Okay, no, this is the right. Copy. Actually, make sure I'm copying things. Edit. Then we should go in here. So I can't use check name. So we're probably just going to see a bunch of server and host, which kind of sucks. But neither did that. Yay. So now we can see that we can actually start to see some of the information. Oh yeah, thanks for the happy birthday wishes. My warranty runs out tomorrow and I turn 30, so. And then this is going to return too much data. Server record type. Yeah. Wait, why does this have record type in the labels? That's not right. And net response, yeah, I need to go fix that. So now if we go through here, so we have a goofed up HTTP check. This still isn't showing correctly. I got this one to figure out still. It is wrong. What is it? Hosts. Oh, copy paste errors. Type instance. That table. If I give it a range, is it gonna? Okay, so it knows it did something wrong. Why isn't it showing up when I do an instance? This is rather strange because it's like basically the same query. Wait, hang on. I didn't really spontaneously dance. I need to put chat on stream. As of tomorrow, apparently, when I turn 30, manufacturers' coverage of spontaneous dance moves, late night snacking without consequence, and questionable fashion choices will cease. I thought when you get older, you make more fashionable question choices. So what the heck is going on here? What's the... Is there a mismatched interval, maybe? So the thing that's tripping me up is there should be a last result for this, right? So I'll copy paste this query here, plop it in right here, then do run queries. Okay, it just needed a minute to catch up. So now we should have all the data necessary to build everything up. So we have, let's just start from the bottom. Okay, so everything's blotted out. We have an unhealthy ping. We have an unhealthy, wait, oh, unhealthy TCP, unhealthy ping, unhealthy DNS, and then unhealthy HTTP. Then when I do this, things get wonky when I have all four turned on at the same time. So who ruins everything is what we need to figure out. Let's apply to make sure, okay. What? When I roll, I might not be able to get back up. That happens now. I don't get to train as consistently as I used to, so my cardio's gone to trash. Also, I did not get a service manual, which both me and my parents are probably really pissed off about that. The talking about the weather one's already happened. Um, Chat's roasting me about getting old. I think I can pop out. I can pop out chat. Pop out chat. Got it. Okay. close dolphin. Nope. Dolphin. There. Now I can see all your guys' nonsense. Please know you're the Linux desktop memes in chat. My identity is invested in being a Linux neckbeard. I'll hurt really bad if you make fun of me. Okay, there. This is actually probably better. This is probably better because I have like a giant monitor, so I'll make something on my giant monitor to be like, dude, this is so cool. I look at it on my laptop and I'm like, this looks like shit. Oh no, chat's on screen, but it's too small. Wait, wasn't control... control scrolling doesn't work. Oop. I will work on something for stream next time to get chat in. And maybe I'll actually have this query straightened out. So yeah, crap. This is interesting that the instant queries aren't behaving well. I was noticing too that the negative matches were not working either. Because instead of gathering those for queries and aggregating them, like I did for the positive matches, it was just a matter of adding them all together. When I did that for the unhealthy ones, they would get super screwy. It was strange. I wonder if before the merge, if I do a last. So if I do a reduce, let's hide you. And then set up here. I promise this will look less dumb here in a second. It looks less dumb, but it's still really wrong. Progress, I guess. I don't know. These fields. So the reason why I want to do this is this will grab the last valid metric, and then if I do a merge, I still only get 3. But now if I go through here, instead of making these instants, if I make them a range, it should work better. The only downside is performance, but these are pretty fast queries. So instance just will grab the last, or the most recent metric for each series, whereas this is going to return all of them. My hypothesis is going to be that the issue is that the last timestamp is different for each one. So like the ping check has a different last timestamp than the SSL check, than the, or not SSL check, HTTP, DNS, and ping all have different timestamps, and that's why they're all clobbering each other. The other thing could be that they have like a null field, but we'll see. So now all of these should be running ranges, ranges, range. So now reduce all the fields to their last not null and include time. Then we should see more data show up. Should. Let's save and refresh, see if that fixes it. Transform. The other thing could be, now I'm not getting rid of anything necessary. So all 4 of these are returning data. I merge them, they break. URL, server host, server host. I wonder what's going Armin. I wonder what's going on with that one. I think this is gonna look super goofy if I don't explode it out into 4 panels. So I think what I'm gonna do is duplicate these 4. I'm not sure how to arrange them yet. But I think I'm gonna duplicate these and just show the down health checks. Or just duplicate this panel 4 times and then split out the queries. I think that's the strategy. That way I can show like all the goofy stuff with DNS checks and whatnot. And then it could add like unhealthy checks to a row. So you can like collapse and expand rows. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Getting them all to show nicely and they all have different labels associated with them, it's just asking for a bad time. So I'm going to take this guy here, go back. Actually, I think I'm just going to duplicate it 4 times. Now I need to add a new one and do it right. Add this guy, instant table. Then I want to see a table. Then voila. And then I can do stuff. I don't know if I can do check name and it show up correctly. Yeah, I can. So now I can be less worried about what's going to show up goofy. So I'll just get a rough draft of this up and wrap up the stream. Poop. I think I'm going to wrap up the stream. I'm pretty well stumped on this problem. And usually, like, when I stop streaming, of course, I come up with the light bulb go off moment and everything works, but I can talk about it next stream. So I'm going to queue up the outro. And friendly reminder to like, subscribe, follow us on socials, and buy me a coffee.